Okay, you guys are live.
All right. Hi, Facebook. Hope you guys are doing well today. My name is Eric. I'm one of the trainers here, and I'm joined out here by...
I'm Hallie. I'm one of the trainers here as well.
And we are going to be talking to you a little bit today about some of our pinnipeds that join us here at the aquarium, and more specifically, one of our residents out here in Rescue Harbor. We're going to be talking about Lumiere today. Now, Lumiere is a great animal to talk about because he has one of the most specific rescue stories of all of our animals. So, without further ado, Hallie, why don't you tell us a little bit about how we found out about Lumiere and how he came to join us here at the aquarium.
Absolutely. So I actually had the opportunity to spend some time out with Lumiere at his rescue center. So it was PMMC, which stands for the Pacific Marine Mammal Center. So that's out in California. So I was lucky enough to spend some time out there with him and actually brought him back here to the Aquarium of Niagara. So what was going on with Lumiere? They actually found him as an abandoned pup. So that means he was very, very small, very young. And unfortunately, he was not able to eat fish. For whatever reason, they could not get him to figure out exactly how he needed to eat his live fish. So because of that, he was deemed non-releasable. And at that point is when he came here to live with us. But he is doing absolutely amazing here with us. He's been here since November of 2018. So, you know, we're at about a year and a half. He's popping up right over there. So, yeah.
Now, for those of you, when we do reopen, we're excited to have you all visit us again. But one of the ways you're going to see which one is Lumiere, he's the darkest animal that you're going to find out here in Rescue Harbor. Very nice black color. Now, he wasn't always like that. When he came to us, he was a little bit lighter. And at the rescue facility, he was much lighter as well. So he got a little bit darker as he got older. You're also going to notice he's a very handsome guy. He has a big, squared-off head, nice and stout and stocky, which is a really good sign of what you're going to be looking for in a male harbor seal. Now, one of the really cool things, like you mentioned, Hallie, is you actually got to go out, bring Lumiere back, and while you were out there, you also got the opportunity to work firsthand at the Pacific Marine Mammal Center. So talk a little bit about what that was like.
I did. So I took one trip out there to bring Lumiere back here, and then a few months later, I actually had the opportunity to spend a full week out learning exactly what they do at rescue centers. Here at the Aquarium of Niagara, we're kind of the end facility for any animals. At a rescue center, what they're going to do is they're actually going to go by rescue, rehabilitate, and release. So that's their goal. So what they want to do is every time they find an animal, you know, there's a lot of different issues that these animals might have, whether they're found as abandoned pups, whether they're found just extremely malnourished. They could have some fishing line around them. They could also be bit by a shark. So anytime that any rescue center finds these animals, what they're going to do is they're going to bring them in. They're going to rehabilitate them to the best of their ability, and then they're actually going to hopefully re-release them. So where we come in is if an animal, just for whatever reason, is not able to be nursed back to health, they will join us here at the aquarium or at a lot of other facilities just like that.
Now, while you were out there, you know, you did a great job just talking about how some animals can't survive, some animals can't be released, and they come to us. But a lot of people won't get to see those success stories. They won't get to see the animals that do get to go back and survive. So did you have an opportunity to work with any animals that were able to sort of complete that cycle and rejoin out there in their natural environment?
Yeah, absolutely. So out at the Pacific Marine Mammal Center, and just really any other rescue facility that's you know, out in California, there's a couple on the East Coast as well, they do a fantastic job. So again, what they're doing is they're taking in these animals. Basically, the first thing that they're going to do is kind of analyze like how an animal's health is. So at that point, you know, sometimes animals will have to be tube fed. Sometimes they'll have to be assist fed, you know, just to make sure that they're getting their nutrients. You know, sometimes if they have a bite or something like that that could get infected, they definitely have some concerns with infection, so they might need to give them antibiotics for things like that. So, you know, the rescue center, they really do a whole lot for those animals in order to, you know, make sure that they're nice and that they get nice and healthy. One thing I got to help with personally was actually some of the animals that were a little bit closer to being released. So, you know, ones who were able to eat whole fish on their own. I was able to kind of feed them, learn how to teach them how to eat, if that makes sense. So, a lot of these animals were a little bit younger, never really learned exactly how to eat. So that was kind of one of my jobs when I was there, was just helping them understand how to catch fish and how to swallow their fish.
Now, one of the coolest things that I got as your coworker, hearing all these stories and learning more about this, and part of why the aquarium does professional development opportunities like this, is to share those stories. Tell us a little bit about Van Gogh.
Oh, okay. So while I was out there, I actually did have the opportunity to go on a rescue. So I was working at the rescue facility one day, and they did get a call. It was for a young sea lion. I think he was, they think that he was probably around a year old or so, and he actually had fishing line around his neck. So as you can imagine, a poor little guy with fishing line all around his neck, not really doing too well. He was a little malnourished. He was definitely in a lot of pain. So I was able to go ahead and help rescue him. We brought him back to the rescue center, and they actually had to do a lot. They had to put a lot of antibiotics because he did have some pretty big scarring on his neck. The reason he was named Van Gogh is because the fishing line actually went around his ear. So what happened is one of his ears actually was severed due to that. So that's why he was named Van Gogh. So I know that you guys are probably looking at a couple of pictures on there, and basically what they do with Van Gogh, he did do really, really well. Luckily, he did overcome those really big lacerations that he had on his neck. And then a few months later, they were able to release Van Gogh. So honestly, for me, that was such an amazing thing to be able to see that on their social media, to be able to say, hey, I went out there, I helped rescue that animal, and then that he was such a success story. And then a few months after that, they actually did find him out hanging out with sea lions, just being a normal sea lion, and you can actually still see the scarring on his neck. But yeah, that's an awesome success story for Van Gogh. And again, it was very important for me to be able to go out there and have all these experiences, just to kind of learn exactly how what these animals are going through before they might be coming to us.
Now, one of our favorite parts of our job is getting to share the stories of these animals like Lumiere with the public. And one of the things that's really great about these animals being ambassador animals is seeing how well they're doing, seeing how healthy they are, seeing their responsiveness to training. And one of the things that's kind of a common misconception is, oh, well, these animals are doing so great now, why can't they go back out? So kind of explain sort of why these animals are going to be staying with us for their lifelong care.
Yeah, definitely. So, there's a whole lot of different reasons that animals are rescued. One of our other seals, Striker, he's kind of popping over right behind us. So Striker was actually struck by a boat. So when he was struck by a boat, he actually did have to have one of his hind flippers amputated. You might be able to see that he only has one hind flipper back there. But he's a perfect example of Striker only having one hind flipper. He does a really good job here, but unfortunately he would not do very well with strong currents out in the wild. So for for whatever specific reason with these animals, they're not going to be able to go back into the wild. Sometimes it's because, they can't figure out how to catch fish. Della right here, she actually is completely blind. Obviously another thing that wouldn't be very advantageous for an animal out in the wild. So this is their forever home. So, when these animals are unable to be released back into their natural habitat. And here's Lumiere saying hi. He's very happy that we rescued him. So another thing too is these guys obviously are hand fed by all of us. So that is one thing that they're gonna get used to. So out in their natural habitat, they might be going up to people to get food. So there's a lot of reasons why they wouldn't be able. Sorry if that was a roundabout answer there, but Lumiere kind of distracted me a little bit. Right, buddy?
Now, you talked a little bit about how one of the challenges facing these guys is they are a little too comfortable with humans. Obviously, a problem Lumiere might be considered to have. What's the difference between us having a relationship with these animals versus why you don't want to approach an animal out there in their natural environment?
Definitely. So there's really a lot of reasons why that would why those would be some issues out in the wild. So if an animal out in their natural habitat does get a little bit too used to humans, they might kind of scare some people. People might get a little bit too close to them, and they could definitely cause a lot of harm as well. So because this is their forever home, and they unfortunately are not going to be out back in their natural habitat. We are giving them the absolute best care and the best life that they can have. So that's kind of why we work so hard with these guys. It's also really important for us for any type of husbandry behavior we do with them. So it's anything from, you know, having them open their mouths, having them get eye drops, having them, having them allow us to take voluntary blood from them. All of these things require that really strong, trusting relationship with these guys.
Great. So obviously we talk about rescue. You had the opportunity to go out and work at a rescue facility. We've taken in 8 of our 10 animals were rescued directly from their natural environment. The other 2 born under human care, 1 to a rescue parent at a rescue facility. So we have the ability to directly impact those rescued animals. Now, someone who might be watching might not feel like they can directly impact, but what can they do in order to make a difference for the life of seals and sea lions and make sure that those stranding numbers or those animals that are injured or affected by human causes, we can keep that number down as much as we can?
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, one very important thing that you guys can do, especially to help with these animals in particular, is continue to support the aquarium. You know, we obviously have been closed for quite some time, but we are still caring for all of these animals. So that is extremely helpful. But one thing that we can all do, you know, it's definitely getting a little bit warmer. Not so much today, it's raining a little bit. But it's getting a little bit warmer out. So you guys might be going to the beach. You might be going out to the river to go fishing. A few of these things. So just make sure anything that you take with you, you make sure that you take back. You know, obviously everything leads to the ocean. So anything that you might leave in a lake, a river, it could definitely impact wildlife. So that's definitely a way that we can help these guys.
All right. Any questions?
Do we have any questions?
No questions.
No questions?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Well, yeah. Again, we do want to say thank you guys so much for supporting us here. You know, tuning in for our Facebook Lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much. We're excited to hopefully someday soon down the line be able to welcome you guys all back, continue to share the stories of our animals like Lumiere. But in the meantime, make sure you're going to our website. Our education staff has done a great job promoting some activities for you to use at home. We also want to make sure you're still using that hashtag, #IMissMyAquarium. Show us that even though you can't be here in person, we're excited to have you back and that you're excited to come back and join us. And Lumiere, Della, Stryker, Sandy, they'll all be here waiting to greet you the second that you walk through the gates here. So thank you guys so much for coming out to join us. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you again on Monday.
Yep. All right. Thank you, guys. What are you doing, Stripes?
Right.
What are you doing?